want to first do is you want to mark where you want to drill your hole in. And then what you want to do is you're just going to take your clamps. You want to make sure that you have a sacrificial piece of wood below it as well, because you don't want to be drilling into the table. And then what you can do is you're going to use these clamps, and just to give a little intro of the clamps, what you do is first you're going to deal with the big part, and then you go and do some fine tuning with this. So I'll show for one of them. What you can do is bring it all the way up to what you can, and you're going to use that knob and go as tight as you can. And you want to make sure that when you're starting, you're not putting the knob all the way up or all the way down, just for ease and just to make sure that it's secure. Now what you can do is you can take another clamp, you can secure the sacrificial piece of wood to the table just to make sure everything is good. And then what that'll do is also, if you're switching out this piece of wood and you're drilling a couple things, it'll just have your sacrificial piece of wood secured to the table. Okay, so then what you're going to do is you're going to make sure that you got your hand drill and take your battery, which should be fully charged. And with this one, what you can do is you can just slide it in, and then to take it out, you can push these buttons and take it out. And at first it might seem a little alien to be pushing or pulling this hard, but once you use it a couple times, you'll be very comfortable with it. And so then what we're going to do is we're going to use a 15/64 drill bit. So with drill bits, you have a lot of options, and the bigger your drill bit, the more torque you have, the less speed you should be going. And then additionally, there's a thing with pilot holes where if you're doing it with wood, you can use pilot holes as kind of a guiding hole, and then also to make sure that your wood doesn't crack, but that'll be in another video, more details on that. So then I chose my 15/64 drill bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this chuck here, and you can see that it's plenty open, but let me tighten it just so you can see how it moves. So this is very much open, and what you're going to do is I'm going to put this in, and as I'm just going to hold it, and I just want to make sure that it's tightening around it, and I want to make sure that these little grooves that are on my drill bit are lining up with the teeth inside the chuck. And then you also want to make sure that you don't put the drill bit all the way in the back of the chuck once you're tightening it, because when it tightens, it automatically pulls it back a little bit, so you won't be able to fully tighten it. So you can just hold it. You also want to make sure that it's perpendicular to the table, or just parallel with the drill bit, with the drill itself. So then I'm just going to hold it, and I can just kind of adjust as I do it, and then I'm going to just tighten it. So when you're tightening your chuck, you want to make sure that you should hear like a couple of notches, and that just means that it's fully tightened. Okay, so then when you're using your drill, right depressed means that it's going to go forward. So, and then when you have left depressed, that means that it's going to go backwards. Right? And then when you have it in neutral, that means that neither sides are depressed. So now it's in neutral. That's how you always want to leave it, and that's how you should always have it started. You know, the last person left it like that. And then what that does is if you're holding down the trigger, nothing will happen. So what we're going to do is, since we're going to be drilling a hole into here, we're going to be doing right depressed. So we want to go forward. And what I want to do is I'm going to line up my drill bit with the X. And then I also want to make sure that I'm holding my drill. I want to make sure I'm holding it perpendicular to the table. I want to keep it as much of a 45-degree angle as possible. So then what I can do, and if you're nervous, what you can even do is you can even ask a friend to look and make sure. So, hey Andrew, is my drill 45 degrees?
Looks it.
Okay, so then what you want to do is you're going to take your the hand that you're not using. So right now I use my right hand to pull the trigger. I'm going to use my left hand, and and you want to make sure that it's going on the back of your drill, and you really want to be doing that to make sure that you're putting a lot of weight on the drill. And this will be especially useful when you're doing it for things like thick metal and things that are just harder to go through. So then what you're going to do is, my thing is right to press, I'm putting weight, I'm making sure I'm standing, all that, and then I'm just going to drill. And then once I feel like I've gone completely through this board right here, I can change it to left to press, and you can see that this is now sticking out much more, and I can just pull it out. And then I'm going to put it back in neutral. I leave it on its side, and there is our hole. And so in the end, what you should have is a hole right there. I hope you enjoy. Bye.
Got more torque.